This is a Surrey wood on the fringes of London. Ted Churcher and Bill Johnson have lived here for over 30 years in their two camps, separated by about 400 yards and a thick screen of blackthorn, oak, birch and sycamore.
I'm not quite as young as I used to be, you know. That's a new blade, you see. I use it once, that's all.
Ted is now 72. He came to the wood just after the Second World War when he worked for the Forestry Commission.
This blade's not too good. Should be all right, 7 o'clock. I don't like these routine jobs. I always try and rush them, get them done, finished with. Routine drives me up the pole, but there's certain things we have to do in camp that are routine, and you can't avoid doing it, you see. But I'm invariably out pretty early in the morning. It doesn't mean to say that I'm going out, because there's so much to do. There's such a lot to do. When the sun gets up a bit and it warms up a bit, then I go down and do a bit of shopping. Sometimes I get my wood first. If the weather is unsettled, I get my wood first, because it might pelt and then it'll be a bit of an unpleasant job. But of course there's the shopping routine and there's the pension routine and the wood routine and all that. The rest of the time I just do what I like. If I'm trading, of course I have to go out and collect things to sell. That's more or less a routine, and going down to the pitch to trade. It's more or less a routine job.
Unlike Ted, Bill, now 87, is very much the loner. The locals hardly realise there are two men in the woods. He usually sleeps in till noon and has somehow miraculously survived the polluted stream water he boils up each morning for his tea. He came from an East End family and started work in the docks in 1900 when he was only 15, but thoroughly disillusioned by the drastic unemployment in the 1930s, took up scrap dealing, came to the wood, and up till a few years ago sold flowers at a pitch in Kingston. He never married and has lived here for over 40 years.
When I come in, it's a private wood, and the man owned the wood, and he gave me permission to, I just stay just along there, and he was a nice young fellow. All he was concerned about was shooting. If it was private, it was all shut up, but it didn't make any difference. He gave me permission to camp in the wood. Ted come afterwards. He come in the summertime. He stayed summer.
The house of tobacco. That gives a terrific heat, that willow. Terrific heat, it does. I think I like that better than the mug of tea and the smoke at the same time. I don't know why I always liked it that way.
Within this wood are many woods. It was this variety that appealed to Ted, drawing him away from his family and relations when his mother died 30 years ago. His father, a South African gold prospector, died when Ted was only 4. So he came over to England with his mother, was educated by a family governess, then volunteered for the First World War. He's never quite recovered from his mother's death, and, rejecting the background of wealthy normality, discovered the wood, which became at once an escape route, and finally, a home.
There's an old country saying, it says, oak tree is 200 years of growing, 200 years of living, and 200 years of dying. That's the life history of an oak tree. 600 is quite a nice time to live. I wouldn't mind living all that time myself. I think 600 is a very fair span. When you consider that man, if he's extremely lucky, he doesn't live to be more than 80 or perhaps just a little over, it's a very, very short time to do all that you jolly well want to do in life. It's there's so many things you want to do, and as you go on in life, you find there's more and more and more that you want to achieve. Then all of a sudden, it's exit. It's no good that way, is it? Of course, with the population explosion, I suppose if people lived to be a couple of 100 years old, we wouldn't be able to move at all. We all have packed like little daddy sardines, wouldn't we?
Surprisingly few people discover their camps in the wood. The only real disturbance comes from the passing jets bound for Gatwick.
I don't mind the aeroplanes a bit, but I don't like those jets. It spoils everything. It stops you listening to pleasant sounds like bird song and all that kind of thing. And it's out of character with the atmosphere of the place itself. It doesn't fit.
I can feel lots in the summertime.
All the local people call me Ted, the people who know me. Some people call me Bill, but they're not the people who really know me. They got mixed up between old Bill Johnson and me, you see, and they don't know which is which. It's that way. The old residents know me as Ted. It's the new ones to get to know me because they're their children, you see. And the people, the kids I used to know during the war, they're all grown up and married now, and they've got kids. And the parents say, that funny-looking bloke going down there on that blooming old rickety old bike, that's Ted. The other one's Bill.
Bill manages on £7 a week, which he collects from the post office every Monday. He takes about an hour to reach the shops, just over a mile away.
Those foreign-produced bike parts are not much good.
Ted sees himself as some picturesque suburban cowboy, riding into town every day for breakfast, lunch, some shopping and fresh water from a spring near Leatherhead. The trike was specially made to carry the flowers he collects, selling them in Surrey towns.
Well, it doesn't cost anything per hour anyway. Can afford to be generous with it.
Someone once called him the Robinson Crusoe of the stockbroker belt. How do his more affluent neighbours see him?
Oh, well, I'm accepted, actually, as part of the, of the landscape now. I've been around here so much that they're so used to me, they don't take a terrible lot of notice. People say good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. They know who I am, but most of them, except the newcomers, and even they know me now, but through trading. I trade quite a lot around here in Ashton, places like that. They know me now. But a lot of them, you get a lot of snobbish people, and they think because a man lives in the woods, he's just layabout type, the unwashed brigade and all that sort of thing, and this sort of business too. I hit back, I do the same. When I come across those people, so I walk through puffing away at a fat, blooming great fat cigar like that. That does it. Blooming old tramp smoking a cigar. They think I'm a tramp. I'm not a tramp. I do this for the sake of peace and quiet, get away all the blasted noise and everything. Not to mention saving money, because an old age pension Johnny will afford to pay £5 a week rent, and you wouldn't get a furnished room under that now. When I had money, I stayed at hotels in London, and I've had furnished apartments and all that sort of thing. But I just can't afford to do it now. Things are very much cheaper before the war. You can't afford to pay now. And apart from that, if I was a multi-millionaire, I wouldn't want to go back and live in a house again. I much prefer this life. It's better to wake up and hear the birds singing in the morning rather than screeching cars going by, motorbikes. Convention is boring and respectability. I've always broken away from all that kind of thing. I've done the most outlandish things just for the sake of being different and obstinate. I won't tell you exactly all the things that I've done, but I've had a very unconventional and a very naughty type of life. It's the only way, if you want to make any money, is say crime doesn't pay. Crime doesn't pay if you get caught. That's the greatest sin that the criminal can commit, be foolish enough to get caught. A big shot, of course, he goes in for big things, big jobs. The train robbers over 2 million. But if a man gets a big haul like that, he's wise if he packs it up, but they don't. I've known people in prison and I out more than a week or two in the back. I had 15-year month. I lived in London 15 years clear, and I was never nicked for anything.
I suppose you could say that Ted has at last settled down, a reformed man, after doing time for gun running in the 20s, holding up a post office and several other offences. They still embellish his fantasies, enhancing his image as the local mystery man, but they've hardly affected his life in the wood. Once a week, Bill has a quick washdown in a leaky bucket. Ted does it in style at Epsom Public Baths.
When I was around about 20, I used to wear my hair shoulder length, and it excited the rabble, and they found it extremely amusing, and they used to make various rude remarks like, "Did you old barmy get your hair cut?" But of course I could always hold my own. They thought if a fellow with long hair was a bit of a queer, but they soon found out to their cost that I wasn't. I knocked one fellow clean through a hoarding one day through being rude to me, and I don't think he could have got over it yet. I used to do box in the army, so I knew what to do. But I've always liked natural appearance. I didn't want to walk around like a tailor's dummy, short back and side, and rolled umbrella and striped trousers and all the rest of it. I like the picturesque. After all, why does the hair grow naturally? It isn't for a man to cut it off and make himself look different. It's a natural thing to let the hair grow.
Bill eats mostly out of tins since his brick fire collapse. He has no luxuries apart from an occasional can of light cheese. Ted, on the other hand, absolutely refuses to cook for himself and lunches at a small cafe when his pension allows.
Yes, that top one, please. Yes. The old age pension is very poor, really. Considering the cost of living, the cost of everything these days, it's very, very difficult for people living in a house because they have to pay rent. Of course, I'm on supplementary allowance, but I think I get rather more than the ordinary old age pensioners. Our money went up a few weeks ago to £6.80, whereas close on £7, really. Well, if you restrict yourself to spending somewhere around about 15 bob a day, you've got a bit on the side, you see.
You've got so many toys.
I haven't been exactly a tycoon or anything of that sort. I haven't been extremely rich. But I've had several £1,000s at times, and I just let things rip in the West End, you see, or wherever I fancy going. I've had women and wine and all the best hotels and clubs and things like that, and had a damn good time.
While Ted remembers the highlights of a racy past, Bill looks forward with conviction to the future. Are they to be pitied or envied, living alone in the wood? With no one else around, the imagination can run riot. And for Bill, what is about to happen may seem fantastic to us, leading apparently normal lives. But his image of the future is rooted in a deep mistrust of authority. His resentment of the depression of the 1930s and the indignities suffered by its millions of unemployed has remained with him for over 40 years. In his new scheme of things, dignity is restored with a vengeance. His new future sees the return of the Messiah, leading the world into an era of true justice and equality.
As far as I can make out, I could be the speaker. Because I'm the son of man, actually.
Shortly, he will leave his camp in the wood to live in the palace.
I don't want to advertise it, but I'm going to Buckingham Palace. That's my. I'll get married and I'll go to Buckingham Palace. I'm certain of going there, but I don't want to. It's not official, you see. It's after the Queen gets cleared out of it, and it'll be official then. Don't matter who knows.
As the new Messiah, Bill will then overthrow the government.
The politicians expect to get 3,000 a year. They'll be disappointed. They won't get tuppence. They'll get the sack. That's the best thing they could do. And the Messiah will rule himself.
Once there, he will be reunited with his sisters, whom he's not seen for over 4 decades. Ted doesn't figure in his plans at all.
Don't tell Ted. I don't tell him so that he'd be upset about it. No need to tell him. It's just I'll be there for certain when the Messiah comes, and that's where I meet my sisters. There's 7 of them. There's two are coming down from the north. I've never seen them. They're coming down especially to meet me at Buckingham Palace.
Hello. Hello. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing the same.
Hey?
Trying to do some
You've done
sewing.
much of the power today, it's all right.
Yes,
Isn't the weather absolutely marvellous?
yeah.
It? How you doing? Any good?
I'm doing some sewing. In no time, it's falling to pieces.
I want to finish my tent. I've been waiting for this kind of weather to occur
You've
so
got
I can do
the
it.
tent in there.
I haven't got any more. I want some more canvas. I've got to go and buy some more canvas down in minutes.
Yeah.
There's very good stuff down there.
I don't know about these two.
I have to use a big iron needle for just ordinary sewing because
Yeah,
I can't damn well see the see to do the bally things. Here we are.
Can you see it?
If you drop one of those, it's a right down job to... Oh, you haven't much of a point on it.
No, it's
a bodkin.
It's a bodkin.
Bodkin, yes. That one's all right. That's a good one there.
Very occasionally, they meet. Ted likes to check up on Bill, make sure he's still around, offer a little help if it's needed.
You're looking better today, Bill.
Well, not bad of a voice.
You don't wash.
Well, you can make a difference.
That's very good. Glad to hear that.
Last year, Bill walked to Poole in Dorset, over 100 miles.
You won't be able to do that walk this year anyway. You were all right last year. You get around.
Yes, I got on. I walked through forest.
Just taking it easy, I suppose.
Oh, no, what like it? It's 14 miles through the New Forest. That's each way, so there can't be much wrong.
Sit down, take it easy.
It's only the teeth. It's late. I can't do much more walking. I'll go down the shop
Bill.
as far as I can go.
No point in standing, wearing yourself out.
Apart from reading Dickens and thinking about the future, Bill has no other hobbies. Ted is an accomplished painter, despite Parkinson's disease in his right hand. It was while he was out painting that he met a girl and had his first and last real love affair.
And this is how we got to know each other, you see. She turned up next Sunday, we had a nice picnic, went for a walk, and did a bit of painting and all sort of thing, and it was Sunday after Sunday for months after that. We met every weekend like that, see? It's true I was 15, she was only a teenager, but that don't make any difference. It's nothing to do with love. If a kid's only 6 and a man's 60, if it's love, and that's that. Well, the mother got to know that I was meeting the girl, and she butted in and sparked the lot, and we had to part, see? I thought, this is the end, it's the finish. So I drank myself to death, really. I was all terrible, terribly rocky. And I got a bottle of whiskey and polished half a bottle of that on, and I took a lot of those sleeping tablets. Next thing I knew, I woke up in the hospital. So they managed to pull me around, and after a few weeks, I went out, but I wasn't the same. I wasn't the same, not the same again. I hung on, and then the lawmen got to know I was hanging out there, and they came for me. And they didn't nick me, they just summoned me. I had to appear at the Epsom court, and I got chucked. No trouble at all. So that was that. And it needn't be the end anyway. It needn't be the end. I'd still meet her until she's married. I hope she's happy and married. That's all I hope. All I want is her happiness. If ever I become a rich man, all my money will go to her.
Bill welcomes visitors, but impatient with age, no one comes. Ted, on the other hand, couldn't bear to be completely alone. Dave and Woody come every Monday. Ted provides the music, food, drink, and some pocket money thrown in.
These boys have been very good to me around here. They've been very decent. They've broken the monotony. And if they didn't come, I should miss them. I should be very unhappy if they didn't turn up. Although sometimes I can't afford it. But they still get what they... I still give them picnic, drinks. I still give them money, just the same. If I have to go without, just the same. Makes a break. You see these happy-go-lucky tearaways come along, and they're all smiles and jumping about all over the valley place. And they're not worrying damn about old age and dying and all that lot. They're living. They make us live. They keep us young. It's turned a lot colder. Might as well have a decent fire. Not much point in shivering, is there? I'd like to get a motorbike. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Get about quick then. I'd do 100 an hour. And get nicked for it too, I expect. You've got to have a driving licence, you've got to pass that. And you've got to pass you've got to have a driving licence, you've got to pass the test too. It's the same with a motorbike. I wouldn't have any difficulty in doing that, I expect. I don't about the tests though because of my sight. The driving licence, that's nothing, it doesn't cost much. Cost of the bloody motorbike's the trouble. It costs about 70 quid at least. The motor scooter, wouldn't it?
I'll see you next Monday.
Like most of the green space around a major city, this wood is vulnerable. Although Bill and Ted refuse to come to terms with it, plans are already laid for the destruction of the wood. In 1976, a motorway, with its attendant chaos, noise and pollution, will be driven right through the middle of their home.
One of the reasons we lead this kind of life is that we detest hypocrisy and respectability. All this bowler hat business and striped trousers and going up the same old time in the morning, coming back the same old time at night, routine. We've slung all that. We're free men. We like this life because it's free. We do just what we damn well like and we don't care that much what people think. Not a scrap, do we, Bill? They're quite entitled to think what they like in any case. We are the elements of a super race, and we're intellectuals. The king and the queen, they're not considered intellectuals. They're only figureheads, that's all they are. They're not intellectuals at all, they're simply figureheads. And they're figureheads of England, and people, the Queen goes by in a car, and hooray, hooray, and they don't know the faintest idea what they're hooraying about. If I go by on my trike, they don't say hooray, they just say hello Ted or hello Bill, whatever it happens to be. They don't hooray us, and yet we're intellectually superior to the royalty.
Well, they'll all be disappeared shortly. There won't be no royalties, they'll be cleared off the face of the earth. But I'll tell you what will happen. Messiah will come back and rule himself.
I don't believe in getting old. I won't stand for getting old. I defy it and kick against it. I won't have it. I'm trying to do the same now as I did when I was 20. I won't give in to it. If your mind gets old, your body gets old. I don't know whether I should be still the same when I'm about 90, if ever I live as long as that. But if I lose my faculties and I can't get around and take an interest in things around me, I should just
Roll up.
that'd be the finish. I wouldn't want to live. There's no thing to live for once you get like that.
No,
There's nothing left.